Hello, my name is Jamie, and today I have made a presentation about nuclear energy. So, here on Earth, there can be multiple types of different forms of energy. You have chemical, thermal, steam, and many others. But one of the most complex of them all is nuclear energy, one of the most unique and dangerous forms of energy on Earth. It can be used to make energy, as we will discuss in this presentation, or it can also be used to make weapons such as atomic bombs or nuclear submarines. I will discuss what it is, how it works, the positives and negatives of things, and round everything up at the end. What is nuclear energy? Everything around you is made up of tiny particles called atoms. Atoms are a form of potential energy. Nuclear energy originates from the splitting of uranium atoms. The way they get uranium is within a uranium mine, and all that is mined up is then transported to the plant and then put inside of a containment cell where the uranium undergoes its process of turning into fuel and doing its usual thing of fission, what its process is called. And at the bottom left is an example of the mine where uranium is often mined at. It is in Australia. How does nuclear energy work? How does it function? The way nuclear energy works is nuclear energy is formed by the splitting of uranium atoms, as I discussed, which is a process called fission. This process generates heat to produce steam, which is used by a turbine to generate electricity. Because nuclear power plants do not burn fuel, they do not produce greenhouse gases into the environment, but they do, however, build up on nuclear waste, and because they can't release it into the environment, they must find a way to contain it, which they do with a big storage tank inside the facility. It works, but must be managed carefully. The power plant also can sometimes be seen with a water source to avoid overheating of any type of engine or reactor on the diagram you can see here. The positives of nuclear energy. There are many benefits to having a nuclear power plant. First, lots of people think that the amount of waste coming from those massive chimneys is harmful, but the stuff coming out of it is actually nothing but hot water or steam into the environment, rather than other types of power plants and factories that actually put harmful waste into the environment. Another benefit to having nuclear power plants is that they are sustainable as well, which means that it can barely use up any of its resources, as in it burns as much of 1% of its uranium fuel. One more benefit is being independent. Since oil is one of our most precious resources on Earth, and we are running out of it fast, nuclear energy seems to be a good solution to our major oil problem. If we use more than just one type of energy, then we can save most of the oil and petrol we are burning a lot. But however, whenever there are positives to things, there are negatives as well. The first problem with nuclear energy is definitely high risk to dramatic accidents. Some accidents include Chernobyl, 3 Mile Island, and Fukushima. Lots of cases like these can lead to multiple deaths, nearly up to at least 4,000 cases of cancer developed due to radiation. There is also a lot of nuclear waste produced when atoms are split to make energy, and people must find a way to contain it, as I have said. Another problem to nuclear power plants is that they are extremely expensive, as they are as much up from 2 billion to 9 billion based on how much the power plant would turn out. Considering they work with radioactive materials, it would make sense if it were to be very expensive. Another risk, as this one is low, they can use to be creating things such as nuclear weapons. Despite these risks, it is still safe to run a nuclear power plant as long as you know what you are doing with it. Don't make stupid mistakes, because that is what leads to the Chernobyl accident. The basic idea is don't play around with things like this. Here is the aftermath of a reactor in the power plant failing and blowing up, as all of the radiation is released into the air and throughout the land that it is in. Below is the aftermath after 25 years of Chernobyl, abandoned ever since. You can see that all the trees are withered, the buildings are probably starting to crumble. I would say in the next 30 years that the buildings would start to collapse and nature would already take over it. And here you can see on the grey picture is the aftermath of the reactor blowing up as all the radiation dust is released. So to conclude with nuclear energy, I would say it is a great form of energy to use. It is very clean to the environment, is independent, and can be sustainable. But if you were to own a nuclear power plant of your own, you do have to know that there can be huge risks if you are not careful. Remember, nuclear energy has the potential to be made into a weapon, can completely destroy a nearby city if it has a meltdown of some type, and can be over the top pricey. But aside from that, if you know how to manage it, it can better it can it can better than it can be better than some of the other forms of energy we use more commonly today.